At the beginning of the early 2000s, kids growing up all across the United States saw a rise of the Japanese media, in the form of anime being localized for American audiences after the major success of the Pokemon anime. One of the shows that was trying to rival Pokemon's success was a small show called Yu-Gi-Oh! In the show, we see a character named Seto Kaiba who performs a hostile takeover over his adoptive father's corporation called Kaiba Corp. Real original name, I know. After Seto takes over, he transforms Kaiba Corp from a weapons manufacturing corporation to a gaming corporation with his state-of-the-art holographic technology. We see Seto become like an Elon Musk figure after he hosts the Battle City tournament and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, referred to in the show as Duel Monsters, takes off and the entire economy becomes based off this one card game. To the point that they created theme parks, high schools and universities, and an entire apocalyptic future where what cards you have and how good you are at Duel Monsters can decide whether you're a part of the upper class or living in the slums. Wait, what? Hold up. Okay, that escalated quickly. Ignoring the numerous insider trading investigations that had to then opened up into Kaiba Corp, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime introduced the idea, for lack of a better term, of card game economics, an idea that would lead into 20 years of profits. Along with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime came a real-life trading card game that was based on the game that was played in the show, with the release of Starter Deck Yugi, Starter Deck Kaiba, and the booster box Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Yu-Gi-Oh! Would go on to become one of the most popular trading card games in Japan, and the third most popular trading card game in the United States, only behind Magic the Gathering at number 1 and the Pokemon TCG at number 2. With the popularity of the game came more products from Konami, the company that runs the game, trying to get cash from players who are willing to buy the products. However, with some of the best cards being sold in booster boxes, this leaves players to the mercy of an RNG mechanic. So a secondary market was formed, allowing players to buy specific cards that they needed, along with selling any cards that did not help their decks. In a sense, this is a perfectly competitive market that players set up on websites like TCG Player in order to obtain the cards that they want and make money back on any of the cards that they didn't. Some of these cards can reach up to $100 to $200, with Konami being the closest to a regulatory entity. Today, I want to take a look at the secondary market and try to figure out why some of these cards can have a price tag of up to $100 and others be less than 5 cents. In order to understand why Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are so expensive, we're going to have to first look at how Konami sells Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. Each fiscal year, Konami releases 4 core booster sets, which are sold to card vendors in cases containing 12 booster boxes, and these booster boxes can be sold as one box containing 24 packs, or can be opened and have the individual packs sold. Each pack of a core booster set has 9 cards. These 9 cards usually consist of 8 cards which have no foil, and they're called common, and a card with a foil picture, which is called a super rare card. Now, if a duelist is lucky, they will sometimes open up a pack where the foil card has foil lettering and picture. These cards are called ultra rares. Or, they open up a pack and that foil card is a shinier foil lettering and picture, and these cards are called secret rares. Now, I know right now it sounds kind of boring. I'm just explaining how Konami packages their product. But trust me, there's a method to the madness. In each booster box, it's expected that you should have 4 packs that hold an ultra rare card and 2 that contain a secret rare. Already you should be able to see the problem with this. Secret rares and ultra rares are already going to hold a higher price tag than commons and super rares. But this isn't where this stops. Within each set, there are 14 different ultra rare cards and 10 different secret rare cards, meaning that when you open up a booster box, you're expected to have 4 chances to pull one of the 14 different ultra rare cards, and 2 chances to pull one of the 10 different secret rare cards, and that's ignoring the existence of short printed cards, which I'll be getting into later in this video. Not only are these cards harder to get from buying products straight from Konami, Konami also recognizes that these cards are harder to get and prints some of the most powerful cards in the game, as well as powerful archetypes in these slots, which raises the values of these cards. I mean, just look at the top competitive games being played now. They're playing cards like Triple Tactics Talent and Forbidden Droplets in multiples, and a single copy of both of these cards costs over $100 on TCG Player. So now you may be thinking, okay, I understand why some cards are more expensive than others, but why are the price tags for these cards so high? And that brings us to the next reason as to why these card prices are so high. The simple answer is that the price of these cards are so high because people are willing to pay the price for these cards. This may be super obvious, but trading cards aren't exactly high on the list of things that people need or want in their lives. There's no government agency specifically dedicated to Yu-Gi-Oh! To set price floors or price ceilings to protect buyers and sellers, or a tax, other than the regular sales tax, that the government has put on cards in order to make better use for the game. The closest thing to this is websites like TCG Player take a cut of each sell to stay in business, which is at most 10%. But this does not drive the prices as high as $100, as most common cards sold on TCG Player can be found for like 10 cents a card. Instead, I would argue that the market for trading cards on websites like TCG Player are the closest we can get to a perfectly competitive market, as sellers set the price for a card and buyers are willing to pay for that card. Just buy the card. But to make sure that this is a perfectly competitive market, let's look at some of the characteristics of a perfectly competitive market and how they relate to TCG Player. 1. Markets with many buyers and sellers. There are thousands of sellers on TCG Player for Yu-Gi-Oh! Alone. That's not including all the other card games that are sold on the website. 2. Trading identical products. All the cards being sold are normally certified by whoever runs the card game. So using Yu-Gi-Oh! As an example, all the cards sold are created by Konami. And for the market for individual cards, sellers are all selling a copy of a Konami stamped card. 3. Each buyer and seller has a price taker. Trust me, this one is true. Sellers decide the price, and the buyers are willing to take the price if they buy the card, making them price takers. And a seller is a price taker by having a buyer decide whether or not they're willing to pay that much for a card. 4. Firms can freely enter or exit the market. As someone who has bought and sold cards on TCG Player and is currently not doing so anymore, trust me, it's extremely easy to enter and exit the market. The price of these cards can make it frustrating for some players, including myself. There are people who are willing to pay hundreds of dollars for a card that is needed to play competitively or need to complete a deck, and you're on a budget. This, however, is great when you want to sell a card that you have no interest in playing and you make like $300 to $400 on it. This is why card games, especially Yu-Gi-Oh!, have a reputation for having such a high paywall and are considered pay-to-play. You might have noticed that each time that I've referenced the card market, I've called it nearly perfect competitive markets. That's because it's not completely the Wild West in the market. While there is no government agency regulating the market on cards, the company running these games can affect the market, and in the next part, I'm going to explain how they do this. There are multiple ways that a company can regulate their own game, from the type of product that they release to changing the mechanics of their own game. Konami does this with Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. Earlier, I alluded to the idea of short printing cards. For those who don't know, short printing is the act of printing less of a card, which drives up the price of products and the card itself. To explain this specifically for Yu-Gi-Oh!, say that I open up 10 packs that I know contain a secret rare. Out of these 10 packs, I would expect to have a 10% chance of pulling the specific secret rare that I want. But if Konami short prints a specific secret rare, which they say they legally don't, but match ratios from card vendors say that they do, the odds of someone opening up a pack with this card is significantly worse. And because there's less supply, this drives up the price. Now, Konami doesn't only artificially raise the price on cards, they can also lower it. Outside of the 4 core booster sets that are released each year, Konami also releases other products like Battles of Legends, Gold sets, and the Megatons, which are huge products designed to be reprint sets. These reprint sets are designed to re-release cards to duelists, so that way they can bring the price down of existing cards, as well as make it easier for duelists to get their hands on cards that are needed to play the game. Now, Konami has also been known to put cards and take cards off of the Forbidden Unlimited list. Now, for Yu-Gi-Oh!, there is a Forbidden Unlimited list that exists because, unlike most card games, Yu-Gi-Oh! Lets you play any card that was printed in the game at all times, as long as it's not on this list. So you have a card from 2002, you can play it in 2020. Now, Konami has recently taken cards off and off the ban list, or Forbidden Unlimited list, in order to sell product. So say I'm expecting a certain archetype to work in tandem with a card that's on the Forbidden Unlimited list. Konami will re-release the card, take it off the Forbidden Unlimited list for the limited amount of time, and then put it back on. With this in mind, while a lot of cards that are printed are not meant to have high prices on the secondary market, but are instead supposed to get people to buy more product, these tactics that Konami uses does in fact acknowledge the existence of the secondary market, and it means that Konami does take into consideration how these products will affect the secondary market when designing new product. Well, we're at the end of the video. I just want to leave some closing remarks. In this video, I try to explain why cards are so expensive, and let me tell you, it sucks. Other than the obvious reason that in-person Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments can't be held, card prices are one of the main reasons why I've been on again and off again with the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG. I mean, when your only options are to buy a card that's worth $30 and that you need 3 of, or lose the game turn 1, it just sucks. There's no other way I can think of to try and keep card prices low. If you can think of one, let me know in the comments below. I know I talk a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh! And use specific examples of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. I mean, my introduction is basically trying to teach someone about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise and why it exists and is popular today. But I assure you, the words Yu-Gi-Oh! And Konami can be interchangeable with any other TCG game and the company that runs it. I mean, there's a reason why so many trading card games exist and why trading cards are still a thing. People make a living off the market. I know for Yu-Gi-Oh! In particular, but I'm sure these people exist in other card games as well. There are people who dedicate entire YouTube channels to looking at the Yu-Gi-Oh! Market, asking questions like, what the card market looks like today, how will the release of a new product affect the market, and speculation of what future card prices will be. Well, I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say, so my name is Tyree. This is my Econ 9 analysis project. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I end my turn.